going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
I don't know why, but both Scott and I during the Open just started clapping. And so we're just going to clap. I feel like head coach Dana Altman right now. Just sometimes you see Coach Altman at practice and he'll just be walking around at shoot around and he's just constantly clapping. And now I'm wondering how long Scott's going to keep this going. He's given up. What a day. What a day. As Coach Lanning said in the Open, what a great day to be a Duck. Always great, right? Getting ready for a top 5, 6, depending on the poll you care about, battle for the Ducks in Happy Valley and State College at Beaver Stadium. It'll be a whiteout preparing for that environment. We'll talk about that today. Programming note for tonight. Tosh Lupoy, Duck defensive coordinator, is going to join us. That was a worthy clappable moment right there. Yeah. Tosh Lupoy is going to join us, Duck defensive coordinator tonight. And running back Jaden Lamar, a lot to cover on the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Coming your way, 7 o'clock tonight. Looking forward to it here in the Country Financial Studio. Jerry and Georgie will be here. I'll be here as well. Scott will, be around. He's present. Also today, Dusty Harrah, Oregon football sideline reporter, our sideline reporter, is going to join us here. And Tracy Joiner, head coach Oregon soccer, before her Ducks hit the road and they get Big Ten play going on the road against Illinois at 4 o'clock on Thursday. 4 o'clock on Thursday, Oregon soccer against Purdue. They are traveling here today. All right. Dan Lanning also met with the media after practice. This is the final time that we'll hear from Coach Lanning to the general media before that trip to Penn State. Going to be a big one. It's brought to you by the William Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care, close to home. We'll also have a number of Oregon football student athletes to hear from and a lot more on the horizon. But let's hear from Coach Lanning to kick things off today.
Good work today. It's been a really good week so far for our guys out there on the field. Right, a lot to prepare for because you're playing a good team, but can go ahead and open it up.
Just curious on what's impressed you most about Dante through 4 games?
Just poise. He has great poise, maturity. All those things are really showing up for him this year.
This will be the first time that Dante sees an atmosphere like this and tries to operate an offense with over 100,000 fans. What makes him ready for this opportunity?
Yeah, all the work. He's put in a ton of work. He's been a part or seen environments like this before, not necessarily always on the field, but he's been in good environments. And then what you create in practice, right, creates that. We got a lot of chaos in practice this week to help us create that chaos for Saturday.
A lot goes into this one logistically, Dan. Just how did you or Neuer react when the hotel information got out there publicly on their end?
I only worry about what we control.
How do you define pressure, or how do you talk about pressure at all for your team, for you personally going into games like this, and kind of the significance of what a win would mean?
Well, we said before, pressure is a privilege, right? And you come to Oregon to play in games like this, right? There's always pressure, right, for us every single time we step out there. But this is certainly a unique one. But that's what you're excited about.
Justice has not played in a couple of weeks. He was on the injury report last week. What's his status going on this week?
I think he's going to be available for this game. We'll see as we get closer to the week.
A lot of made it is settings like this, Dan. You've had home games like this where obviously for the recruiting aspect of things, but even James Franklin was saying it's an opportunity for both teams in that way. A lot of their recruits that will be visiting are guys you're recruiting. As the visiting team, what does this kind of opportunity present from recruiting, even if they are the one hosting the recruit?
Yeah, just more than anything, this gives us an opportunity. We're always on a stage, but this is a stage that we get to, play to.
obviously hear the crowd noise that you guys are using to prepare for this atmosphere, but you also said that you kind of took away that communication between the quarterbacks and the offense, just taking away that communication. How have you kind of seen the quarterbacks and the offense kind of react and prepare in preparation for something that could potentially happen on Saturday or be hard to communicate?
Yeah, I think they've handled it really well so far. Again, we've tried to make it really hard in practice. That's something that's hard to replicate. You're not going to be able to replicate exactly what it's going to be like on game day, but they've handled it well.
Defensive line has done a really good job over the past 4 games of really holding up offensive linemen, not letting them get to the upper levels. How do you kind of prepare differently for a better offensive line and a different challenge for your defensive line?
Yeah, I mean, you spend the time watching the film, identify what's going to be different about this game, and focus on the fundamentals. The fundamentals don't change regardless of opponent, right? But how you execute those really matter.
How has Jaden's just growth from year 1 to year 2, now year 2 to year 3, where he stepped into the starting role and really there hasn't been much drop off from a run perspective from you when he's getting the opportunities to play?
Yeah, so guy's just always prepared for his moment, and not really concerned about when it comes, but when you get your opportunity, do you take advantage of it? And I think he's done a great job of taking advantage of that. He's changed his body since he's been here, super diligent in his preparation, right? And that really shows up on the field.
I had a chance to talk to the players during fall camp. I remember one thing that I think one of the offensive linemen mentioned, the biggest growth in the program is just how much the recovery standpoint, especially for the guys that are in the trenches, how much that has improved during your time here. Now that you're going and facing your farthest opponent of the season so far, what have you kind of learned just about the Big Ten travel, being your second year here, going on another long road trip? What have you kind of come to learn through that experience last year that you're bringing into this game that's going to help when you're traveling so far, especially with the big guys in the trenches?
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, you said it. We've done it, right? We've been through it. We have a really good routine. Some things are a little bit different each week depending on where you're going and how you're traveling. But our guys handle that well. You can pitch changes to our guys, and they handle it well. They understand how important recovery is, what we do when we get to the hotel, what we do when before we leave here, right? There's just a routine that's been developed for us that we can go execute.
Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach. I think, Scott, now the theme of the show is we have to clap. Ducks against Penn State at 4:30 on NBC on Saturday. Timeout. We're going to come back and chat with Dusty Harrah on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. I noticed that Scott clapped that time. It was very in tune with the fight song. Serious question. As the fight song continues, Scott, when I was in school, everyone said, no, you start to alternate. Like it's not the same tempo when you clap. I've heard conflicting reports about this from fellow Oregon alums. So we're going to workshop this moving forward. We're going to workshop this. Ducks heading to Penn State later this week for a 4:30 kickoff. We will have a 2:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. One of our broadcast team members was actually in Eugene yesterday to get ready for that pregame show. He talked with Amari Washington. Dusty Harrah did, and we sat down with him. We'll do that every Wednesday, talking with our sideline reporter, Dusty Harrah. Dusty Harrah's here. He just wrapped up our pregame interview coming your way at 2:30 Pacific time for a kickoff that will be a bit after 4:30 with the way that TV networks select such things. Dusty will be running around on the sidelines at Penn State, which brings me to the Big House is probably the largest crowd that you and I have, I think, both participated in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah, I've been to Neyland Stadium.
Okay.
And that's got, for a Tennessee-Georgia game, that was a big crowd, a packed house.
All right.
This is going to be another big one. I mean, Beaver Stadium is massive.
111,000 roughly, which is odd because, like, Happy Valley doesn't have that many people in it in a given non-football day.
No, I think it's like 50,000 people in the area, and then just boom, it explodes on game day, and that is really cool. And those environments are one of the treats of being in the Big Ten now, and what you get to see.
Well, to that point, like so you know, here we go. We're excited about that. I think the team has kind of embraced, like, it is the whiteout. It's a thing. Dusty wore white today, which I don't think was an accident.
It's all I'm doing all week long.
Are you gonna wear white on game day?
I haven't thought about it, but yeah, sure, I will.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
I really
I'll do it.
I don't know.
I'm gonna fit in.
You're gonna fit right in.
You know, I'm gonna fit in. I don't think that it really matters what I wear, because
you got to look good, sound good.
Yeah, look, there is something about that. Yeah. But I don't want to necessarily, like, blend in with the crowd.
Right.
But as long as they're not throwing stuff at me like at Texas Tech, I'm good.
Yeah, you got hit with a tortilla.
I got hit with multiple tortillas. That's all they did was threw tortillas for 3.5 hours.
Multiple tortillas.
That was crazy.
You know, that was a big environment also.
Yeah, it was.
Actually, at Texas Tech. And they were renovating the stadium, which is odd because now Beaver Stadium is being renovated. So there are some temporary seats. Talking with Steve Jones, that we'll have that for you on the show tomorrow. Steve said that the loudness he thinks has actually gone up. Their sideline reporter, your counterpart Brian Tripp, told him that with just the temporary seating, it seems like that it's actually made it louder, oddly.
That's neat. I'm excited. I love raucous environments. And when you see the list of the loudest stadiums in all of college football, you always see Autzen Stadium on them.
Sure.
You also always see Beaver Stadium at Penn State. And that is something I love, going to these new environments, loud places. Anytime you're in a stadium where you can feel the energy of the crowd, it's something different, and it is a lot different. That's why Northwestern was a little weird, because of 12,000 people, and you couldn't feel that energy. But it was still loud. It was very loud for the big speakers behind the bench.
It was still real loud when Dusty, as we discussed, popped on his microphone. Now, before we continue on Penn State, let's back up. A win over the Beavs. You win the state. Solid performance, I thought.
It was, and I think that is something that you always want to see, the lopsided score, especially in a rivalry game. But the way that game played out, it was correctable mistakes at the beginning of the game, corrected in real time. And you saw a first quarter where, you know, the other team has got paid coaches. They've got athletes on the field too.
Sure.
And we talked about this after Northwestern. You're going to get everybody's best shot. And I think they got Oregon State's best shot in the first quarter of that game. And they withstood it. And then after that, the second, third, and fourth quarters, boy, that was some pretty clean football that Oregon was playing in those final three quarters.
Well, and the fact that Oregon continues to be so good, I think, in the middle eight, right? Like, that was a huge focus of Coach Lanning last year, previous years. I feel like that phrase maybe hasn't come up as often this year, but Oregon has been so good in the middle eight. Maybe it hasn't come up as much because until that Northwestern game, the Ducks have been really good to open games, and you weren't thinking about the per possession metrics as often. But now here we are against what is admittedly a bigger, better opponent. I think suddenly that middle eight and the execution there becomes real valuable.
What's interesting is like when you're creating good habits, you think about them more, you talk about them more, you emphasize what you're trying to accomplish. But then when they become an actual habit and they become part of who you are, you don't have to talk about them as much.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen with this Oregon program, the evolution of it. Like you speak it into existence, and then it is, we don't forget about it, but that's just who you are and part of your identity. And I think we've seen that in real time with like the identity of Oregon's football program under Dan Lanning is really those first couple of years, he talked about it a lot, right? But now it kind of is. It's just who they are and what they do focus on inherently.
Boy, that's interesting. You know, just thinking about how now the team, and not only the team, but maybe our community has taken on the personality of the head coach. That happens all the time, right? You have the personality of the head coach that kind of goes throughout the team. I think we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, and that is the sign of a steady and stable football program and a steady culture and what has been being built, and I think that you never want to take advantage of those sorts of things, and you always remember how good it was when it's finally gone. But right now, I think the entire fan base really is like, yeah, no, Oregon is just good in the middle eight, the final 4 minutes of the first half, the first 4 of the second half. That's where they want to come out and make a statement, and they have.
And you come back, too, to like good teams take care of business in certain categories, right? It's winning the turnover margin. It's maximizing possessions, and those go hand in hand, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about, where the Ducks have been really good, in, I think, in drilling their 2-minute offense, for example. You know, Oregon's maximized possessions this year, going to have to keep doing that.
Yeah, and I like how they've manufactured ways to create chaos at times, right? They've run the 2-minute drill at the end of halves effectively in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Right? From Oklahoma State to the Northwestern game, where the Northwestern game there was a little bit of that sense of urgency to get points on the board, and Dante Moore takes a hit, and then boom, hits Kenyon Sadi right up the seam.
Yep.
And then against Oregon State, you saw another flawless just 2-minute work where you want to create that little tick of urgency within your team, and especially your quarterback and your offensive line and how you communicate under pressure. And you've seen that now in finding it in 3 games of your 4. I mean, that's pretty impressive to do, and it takes a little bit of luck too to get those possessions in those times, in those moments. But as you get quality opponents and better opponents on your schedule and you're playing them in games, these games are going to be tighter, and those possessions matter that much more.
This is a test for both programs.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought Kenyon Sadi said it super well yesterday when he was just like, look, it's a whiteout because it's Oregon. You know, certainly people like you and me, I get excited just to experience that. You know, it's kind of a bucket list. What's it like being there for a whiteout? But that speaks to where these two programs are. It's a Big Ten title game rematch. And to me, I keep coming back to like Oregon is at that level. It is the expectation now to be in a game like this every regular season, especially in the Big Ten Conference.
Yeah, Coach Lanning has said it before. Like, he said it after the Ohio State game. Like, these are the games that you come to Oregon for.
Right.
This is why you come to Oregon, and these are the opponents, the matchups, the stakes of what you're trying to build as a football program, and it doesn't get much bigger than this, and that is really fun. And that is to say, though, that, you know, the win, lose, or draw, everything that you have is still in front of you no matter what happens, but this is what makes college football great.
Right.
Is you have these matchups, you have these measuring sticks, you have 2 teams that everybody takes a look at and says, these teams are really good.
Really good.
But how good are they? We don't know based on the schedules that they've played to this point.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the schedule is sometimes what the schedule is, right? The conference puts the game against Northwestern, for example, where it is. Oklahoma State, when that game was scheduled nearly a decade ago, those were 2 top 10, 15 programs.
That was an Oklahoma State program that was perennially 8 to 10 win team. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Oregon State's a rival, right? It's a rivalry game that gets on the schedule. So I just think, you know, now, okay, regular season, yeah, and in this environment of you can't afford to lose a game, it doesn't change how big of a game this is. It's interesting. I don't know how you feel about that narrative, Dusty, because I've gotten asked that, like, well, is this game as big? Was the Ohio State game as big as maybe in previous seasons? I'm like, I think they are. Like, I think that these regular season games still have that sort of value. Look at the ratings on television, our broadcasts, everywhere else. Like, there's still such an interest in the event.
Yeah, that is, and we were talking about fan bases becoming conditioned to think a certain way. That was Chip Kelly's whole thing, is nameless, faceless opponent. We prepared the same way every single time.
Sure.
And everybody kind of bought into that, and it's okay to say, no, some of these games are bigger.
Right.
Some of these games do mean a little bit more. Yeah. Some of these games do have some stakes, and the stakes are bragging rights at this point in the season. But, yeah, there is a little bit more juice to it. It's all for the fans and the fodder of college football. But, yeah, there is a little bit more because you get to see two of the best teams in all of college football going toe-to-toe against each other.
And is it different because, 10, 15 years, really more realistically, 15 years ago, you couldn't really afford to lose a game if you wanted to play in the title game. Now it's a little different. Just asked Ohio State last year, right? They lose by 1 to the Ducks, and then there they go, right? But I still think, like, just the event of it, and that to me is what's so special about college football. There's still such a pageantry, tradition, whatever word you want to use, there's still such an event. And Ducks are a part of one.
And then when college game day comes,
exactly,
it ramps it up even more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just that like, hey, college game day is going to be there. That means something to everybody more. That makes the stakes just a little bit higher for every fan watching.
He's Dusty Harrah. We'll be roaming around on the sideline coming up, but we've yet to really break down Penn State. A different-looking team from last year, most notably, no Tyler Warren, 3 transfer receivers that have come in, but still a two-headed monster in the backfield offensively, and Drew Aller still one of the better experienced quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, and Andy Kotelnicki, their offensive coordinator, is dynamic. I think anybody that you talk to when you talk about the pundits of college football, they talk
You're
about...
You're a pundit of college football.
Yeah.
You are!
You go down the list of the great coordinators, Will Stein's name comes up on it, but so does Andy Kotelnicki, because what those two coaches force you to do pre-snap. And they manufacture mismatches. You'll see a ton of shifts in motions. You'll see formations that don't really make sense on the surface, and then the snap of the ball happens and you go, uh-oh, they created leverage here. And so that, to me, like, there's games inside the games, and that's where you go, yeah, no Tyler Warren, but Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, those two running backs are electric. Kyron Hudson, the wide receiver transfer from USC, is a name that, out on the West Coast we will be familiar with. They have weapons that will stretch you vertically now. They still have the underneath game. Their tight end is really good. Even they may not be Tyler Warren good, but they have a very good tight end that they will use, where if you have receivers that can keep you honest and stretch you deep, having that tight end on the underneath and intermediate passing game is huge. As the backs out of the backfield, they'll use everyone, and Drew Aller is a big-bodied, pro-style quarterback.
Yep. Defensively, it's an interesting storyline for me. Jim Knowles was at Ohio State the last few seasons, including last year, defensive coordinator. Now he's at Penn State as the defensive coordinator. So he saw the Ducks, made some adjustments against the Ducks in that Rose Bowl. Now they're at Penn State. As he continues to settle in, I'm curious how their defense will look different here in another year.
Yeah, it'll look way more multiple than what we saw in the Big Ten championship game a year ago. They do use a lot of variation in their coverages, and that's one thing that Jim Knowles is really good at, is that he'll disguise, he'll move guys around, and you think you get one look, and then boom, all of a sudden your safeties are rotating over, and it can be confusing at times. And we saw a big difference from October to January from what Ohio State's defense looked like, and what Oregon sees this weekend in State College may be something completely different if they meet up somewhere down the road in a Big Ten championship game or a bowl game in the college football playoff. But what you're going to see is an aggressive defense. They still have edge rushers. Abdul Carter may not be there, similar to the offensive side where you don't have Tyler Warren, but you have got two really good edges coming upfield, hair on fire all the time. We're talking about this, and boy, I bet Penn State's saying the same thing about Oregon.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, a lot of new names and new faces, but they're all really good. It's a healthy program that James Franklin has built there. It's going to be a great football game.
Yeah, that's awesome perspective. And it's interesting. So we actually talked with Steve Jones, the longtime Penn State play-by-play broadcaster. And Steve, we're going to air it tomorrow, but to give you a preview, like Steve basically said that. He gave like the scouting report that you and I just did on Penn State, and it's cool to see where these programs are at. And the Big Ten, quite frankly, has some of the elite programs, and these are two of them, which makes this fun. It's definitely going to be an exciting environment, I think, for both of us. Leave you with this, keys to the game.
Boy, and these are different. This is different now. First thing is you got to handle the crowd and handle the hostile environment. I thought the Ducks did a really good job of that at Northwestern. It was a different environment. It was weird. We've seen that Coach Lanning does a really good job of getting his team ready, whether it was Wisconsin or Michigan, and pulling the threads that will make sure that his guys get ready for a game. But handling the environment is number one because that leads to pre-snap penalties.
Yep.
And that is probably the big one there is you've got to play a clean game, whether it's turnovers or penalties. Those two things, handle the environment and then clean on the turnover ledger and the penalty ledger. Oregon has been really good at both those things so far this year.
He's Dusty Harrah, roaming the Toyota sidelines at Penn State coming up, and part of our 2:30 pregame show on the way. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Can't wait.
Dusty Harrah will be with us on the tarmac coming up as we travel to Penn State. I'll tell you, I am excited to see the environment. I said to Dusty, like, the most fun part for me on the sideline for the last decade was just seeing all these different environments. And it reminded me that when Dusty was getting hit with tortillas at Texas Tech, I should start by just saying I do not want anything ever thrown onto a football field, right? Like, we all agree that is not great. It can stop play. We've all been there at a stadium where we're frustrated that the game stops. So that's part one. But part two, when I was at Washington State, oh, man. Scott remembers. So I was at Washington State, and in the student section, they must have been 20 rows up. They had like a small cardboard sign. And I don't know if they were aiming for me or not. But the fact is that as dead-eye as a Frisbee could be, right in the back, and I turned and they were laughing, and you know what? I was like, that was a good throw. You probably don't want to throw things onto a football field because you might stop the game and get a penalty for your team, but we've all been around those sorts of environments. I don't anticipate this being one of those types of environments. I think it's just going to be a fun football environment that I'm really looking forward to. Timeout, Kenyon Sadi. We're going to chat with him when we come back and then talk with Tracy Joiner, head coach for Oregon Soccer. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my
Stuck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ducks hitting the road to Penn State. Kenyon Sadi kind of famously hurdled the last time the Ducks played against Penn State. That was just such an awesome moment. And I think it's worth repeating, as Dan Lanning has said now a couple times publicly, Kenyon Sadi did not have a touchdown until the Big Ten championship game. That was in a lot of ways the coming out party, at least nationally, for Kenyon Sadi. Now he's regarded as one of the best tight ends in the country. Penn State had a great one last year in Tyler Warren. And I just think sometimes there's great coincidences that lead to storylines that maybe only people like me that help think about narratives. But I'll tell you what, I think it's cool to see a tight end that's playing at the level he's playing at now against Penn State in a regular season game like this. Pretty cool to hear from Kenyon Sadi this week.
Your excitement about heading into this game and playing in a whiteout game and what your expectations are for this moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of like a dream for, I think, about a lot of people playing college football. So just going in, enjoying the moment, and just executing.
Gotten a lot of attention so far for the blocking this year in the run game. What goes into the mentality behind that, and in terms of just being able to sacrifice for the team so that you can get your touches later in the game?
Yeah, it's just a lot of people said I couldn't do it. So I think every day I kind of got to remind myself that people thought something I wouldn't be able to do. I think I'm doing a great job of it. So just continuing that mindset, going in and we're start facing off against a lot better edge rushers and all that stuff. So just keeping that mentality going forward.
What's impressed you most about Dante through his first 4 starts?
Yeah, I would just say his mentality and his composure. I think he's one of the if not the calmest quarterback I've ever played with. I don't think I've ever seen him panic. No, he just does a great job of keeping the vibe and the energy in the huddle just where it needs to be. And I think he's very professional.
You just talked about just that mentality. Do you feel like the team kind of has that same mentality, that there's a lot of people out there that told you couldn't do one thing and you guys are still out to prove them wrong, especially, and now your toughest opponent possibly of the season?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's kind of, especially at the beginning of the season, everyone kind of counted us off. They say we lost our whole offense, our whole defense, whatever it was. So yeah, this is kind of for all the people that thought we couldn't do it. So just it's about going out there and showing them what we can do.
How does the team kind of embrace the whiteout that they're going to do and the moment, the crowd atmosphere and the big game philosophy? How do you guys kind of mindset go into that atmosphere?
Yeah, I think Coach Lanning said it great today. It's a whiteout because it's Oregon. So they know what's coming and we know what's coming. So like I said, it's going out there and who executes the best. It's just about eliminating the crowd aspect and going in there and playing our game.
With Penn State being a team that has a lot of guys that they can bring off the edge who can get after the quarterback, has there been any extra work this week with the offensive line with Dante in terms of you being a guy to chip guys and stuff like that and pass protection?
I mean, yeah, we do a lot of that every week, just mixing it up, keeping those guys guessing. If they don't know what's going on, it's going to slow them down.
Going back to Dante, the two-minute drives the last couple of weeks going into halftime to score those touchdowns, what did you see from him in those drives, particularly the one at Northwestern? Obviously, he connects to the touchdown, but just what did you see from him by way of poise in those moments?
Yeah, you kind of say he just had the poise in the moment of just staying calm. I think if you watch both those drives, he did a great job of just keeping very level-headed, not getting too high, not getting too low, just commanding the offense, letting everyone know where they needs to be, just keeping the flow of the game going. I think he does a really great job of.
When you were able to be so physically dominant in high school, what was your level of curiosity going into college and just wondering how does that translate against bigger competition, and what was that moment for you where you're just like, I can still be this guy?
Yeah, I just always my mindset of just being competitive. Like I said, there was a really big transition coming from the Idaho football level up into the Oregon football level. So once I just really got the fundamentals and the basics of what I need to get better at, Coach Manager did a great job of helping me put that to a plan. Once I stuck to that plan, I really started to see improvement.
What are your lasting memories from last year's Big Ten championship and maybe any personnel that stand out from that team?
Last year I had a great game against Penn State. Trying to go out there and replicate that. But no, they have a good returning players, a couple edge rushers, linebackers as well. So no, those are all great players. Just got to go out there and execute.
Coach Lanning mentioned just what you guys are doing to prepare for the atmosphere that you expect to see on Saturday. Obviously, we hear the crowd noise, and he even said that, cutting off the communication between the quarterbacks and the coaches kind of just in preparation possibly for that loud environment. Is there anything else that you guys are doing maybe in practice or even mentally to prepare for that atmosphere?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like the mental aspect of it. I mean, we know it's going to be loud, but we just got to go in there and play our game. We're not going to really be able to do anything about the crowd unless you go out there and play. So, just keeping a strong composure and, like you said, the cadence, those kind of things go into it. But at the end of the day, you just don't want to be rattled by the crowd.
You faced Dennis Sutton 33 last season, but what have you seen from him so far this season, whether he's a 6 or a wide 9, where you're going to be helping out blocking him?
Yeah, he does a great job. He's quick, he's big, so he has a lot of attributes to him. But, so we're going to do a lot of things to help, our tackles out, and even if it's a single block or double. But no, at the end of the day, he's a great player. We just got to go out there and, like I said, just execute better than they do.
You mentioned Dante is maybe the calmest quarterback you've played with. I'm curious, maybe when did that realization hit you? When did it kind of click like, yeah, this guy's different?
I think after the first couple of games, just like the way he's handled, one, the amount of pressure he's had on him, and then two, just the command of the offense. I feel like we haven't necessarily skipped a beat from any quarterback. Like I said, he's done a great job of not just sitting last year, but preparing while he was sitting behind Dylan.
You guys were in more 12 this last weekend than you've run all season, but we've seen that be a weapon for you guys this year where because you have, the ability to line up out wide like you did on your first touchdown this year. How do you think, your ability to move around in formations, be able to work that 12 personnel, those 21 personnel looks, kind of open things up for the offense where you can get to different stuff from different formations and still use the same personnel?
Right. It's just about creating mismatches, I think. If a team wants to play us in base or nickel, then either if they're going to come out in nickel, we can just run the ball, or come out in base, we can do whatever we want. So I think it's just about finding those mismatches and then just kind of honing in on them.
Dan said a lot about how proud he was and how happy he was with the team's ability to not look ahead to this game. How do you train that, and how do you have the patience and help your teammates not be in Oklahoma State week and say, hey, let's look at Penn State?
Yeah, it's just kind of keeping that 1 week mentality at a time, and not overlooking any team. Like you said, it is hard at times, just being honest. But no, just understanding we have a lot of things to improve on each week, and we need to really focus on those things we need to improve on.
A couple of times on Saturday, the catches where it was just underneath routes, and then where Dante's hitting you, check down, and then you're able to pick up the yards after the catch for the first down. How have you felt that connection with him where you're able to find those spots in the zone, kind of just sit and be that option for him underneath that he can trust as his tight end?
Yeah, each week I think it continues to get better, just as kind of a feel thing. The more we play with each other, the better it gets. There's a big difference between game rep and a practice rep, honestly. Getting those game reps and just starting to feel comfortable, I think you can kind of see the offense starting to, translate to that comfortable state. So, just keep repping it out, and it's going to be good.
There's Kenyon Sadi, Duck tight end, getting ready for the trip to visit the Nittany Lions. It's Duck Insider, and when we come back, switching gears to Oregon soccer, and then some updates on Oregon men's golf. Year-round Oregon men's golf competing. We're going to talk with Tracy Joiner before the Ducks head on the road to Purdue next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, Oregon Football Coaches Show coming your way tonight at 7 o'clock across the Oregon Sports Network on the GoDucks YouTube, Oregon Football social media channels. We're going to chat with Jaden Lamar and defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy here in the Country Financial Studio tonight. Before that, though, we had another guest in the Country Financial Studio. Actually recorded on Monday with Ryan Milano before a longer road trip for Oregon women's soccer. Classes start next week. Nice to get a long road trip before the academic term starts here at the University of Oregon. In West Lafayette, the Ducks at 4 o'clock on Thursday will take on Purdue, and then they head to Bloomington at 10 a.m. on Sunday, both on Big Plus for the broadcast here for Oregon soccer. And they're coming off one of the better defensive performances, a draw against Northwestern at Pape Field. The Ducks are still searching for their offensive identity, but the defense seems to be taking some steps forward. That's just me saying that. Let's see if Tracy Joiner agrees as she talks with Ryan Milano.
Tracy Joiner here with us in studio. And, Coach, I just have to applaud you because I think it's the first time that we haven't made you dead sprint into studio to do one of these interviews. So thank you for being well rested and having your breath caught. I appreciate you being able to relax a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't have to sprint here, but it is normally my day off, so I am doing everyone a favor, not including myself. But it's okay. We had to watch film anyway, break it down. So I'm usually here, but this is good. I get to start off my week with a new fun convo.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking some time in your off week here on a Monday talking because of the new travel schedule. Have to leave a little bit early to the Midwest. So you're stuck with me today. Hopefully I can do the best. Better? Jury's still out. But I did hear you last week talking with Joey about what your kind of entertainment of choice is when you're listening. And you talked about true crime.
Yes.
You also talked about the Daily Stoic. And I want to talk about how that sort of mindfulness interacts with your coaching. Do you feel like that is a coaching mindset where you have to sort of be mindful and take on that identity as a head coach?
Definitely. I think, even I feel like the referees, it's interesting because I'm like, who am I competing against here? Because every referee that we've played against that we've had so far has always said something to me after the game about like my composure on the sideline and how they appreciate that. And I'm like, what is the standard? And so I'm wondering, and I'm kind of now starting to be more aware of the other coaches on the sideline, and I'm like, okay, maybe that is my mindfulness and my stoicism in some way. But yeah, I mean, I try to definitely like role model behavior and want to be really mindful of like my energy that I am outputting, and when I want my team to be calm and just collected, like I have to embody that as well. So yeah, I think I'm very mindful in my day-to-day. Yeah.
You're a leader. They'll follow you. Do you feel like you're composed on the sideline, or are you kind of shocked when the referees are like, oh, you're so composed?
No, I am, because, I mean, obviously, relatively speaking, to other staffs. And, Kat and Chris definitely, they engage with the referees probably more than I do, so I just, kind of let them do their thing. But, yeah, I just, let everybody do their job to the best that they can do it, and impart my thoughts when necessary. Yeah.
It brings a level of consistency, doesn't it? Because soccer's a long season. Over the course of a season, you have to stay level. Doesn't that bring some level of consistency on a day-to-day?
It does, for sure. And I think, also the relationship that you have like with your team and with referees, like you want your players to know what to expect from you. What are the things that you're going to be excited about? What are the things that might make coach angry? What are the referee in that relationship also? Same thing. Like if you speak too much, then some of those thoughts that you need to come across clearer get lost in the messaging. I think the consistency piece is, well, it's actually a value in our program is consistency. So that's something that I certainly try to embody very regularly, is just how I show up, my energy, my effort, my attitude, because I hope my players do the same.
Talking about consistency, let's talk soccer. The defense throughout conference play, it's been very consistent. This home weekend against Illinois and then against Northwestern on Sunday. Just break it down for me. How did you think the team played this weekend?
I thought we did really well. In a lot of ways, I think that there's just some, without having to, call out any certain players in particular or units within the game, I feel like our back line has been very solid. They're really consistent, and again, talking about consistency with how their mentality is and how hard they play for 90 minutes. I think our midfield has been touch and go here and there, and that's certainly an area where, they truly affect the tempo of the game in a lot of ways on both sides of the ball. So we're looking to have them be a little bit more consistent, I think, in the decision making, especially in possession and going forward, and being more dangerous when they have the ball at their feet, and more dangerous with their movement off the ball. And then obviously the strikers, the front line, their job is to score goals, and we got shut out again in both games, and that's not, we're asking a lot of our strikers right now, because I think, to your point, defensively we look very good, and that requires a high level of commitment from the strikers to get that job done. And so, I'm a no excuses type coach, but I will say that when you demand that much from your strikers on the defensive side of the ball, it is really difficult to turn around in those special moments that you get going forward and being able to execute, because we're asking a lot on their legs, and the mentality piece of defending is really, really difficult. So again, when you do create those great moments, you obviously want to finish those, but it is more challenging than it looks when you look at when you zoom out and look at the context of what you actually are asking from that front line.
I want to start from the back and then sort of work our way forwards. Your goalkeeper hasn't allowed a goal throughout the run of time throughout conference play through 3 games. Just what have you seen from your keeper so far?
Yeah, Kaylee's been crushing it. She's just such a great leader, and she's a veteran. She's been there before. She knows how to win. She's at our previous program together. She, had a really great career there, and she knows what it takes. And so she's very good at communicating. She's very reliable. I think one of the most important things between your back line and your goalkeeper is just that element of trust. And, they have a really good relationship, like the back four that have been in there the past few games. Yeah.
Talk about building that chemistry with the back four, because it is a lot of new players from different places coming in to begin this season, but it really seems like they're solidifying together as a group. How do you build that chemistry throughout the course of the season? And then how have you seen that back line specifically grow in that level of communication, that level of chemistry on the pitch throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, I think, what's not unique, but in the back line specifically, you really don't sub that group, right? And so you're really getting to build chemistry very fast there, because a lot of it's just based on trust and getting a job done. And when your defenders start to make tackle after tackle and they make good decisions, you're building trust every single game, and that's really the one line and the one unit that we don't sub, right? So you're not you already have that chemistry kind of built in, where you're not exchanging players as much. Obviously, Selah, this was her, I think, 3rd or 4th game of the season. But outside of that, your midfield line, your forward line, we've had a lot of rotations, a lot of different players play different positions, but the back line's been very solid and very consistent. So I think that is obviously translating game to game, and so far in conference play, they've done a fantastic job.
You have a few 6-year seniors back there as well with Jasmine Young and Sydney Hennessy. How does that help, that experience factor in that back line, to where you do have freshmen coming up and playing and youngsters coming up and playing in that back line? How do those two veterans help solidify that defense?
Well, Sid is out, but Jasmine Young and Jade Holly are the ones that are playing. Yes, and they're the 6 years. Again, like they're both big minute players. Jade played I think 90 minutes of every game for the most part for 3 years leading up to this, and Jasmine was at 2 other programs, but same. She got a lot of minutes, and again, like I think so much, and this kind of gets lost in like the X's and O's and the tactics, but like your mentality is everything, especially as a defender. And those 2 players in particular, especially with Kaylee, like they know how to win games, and it's really like the extra effort and just the mentality to not quit. And as frustrated maybe as they are at times of like our front line, maybe our attacking players not scoring goals, they are very intrinsically motivated to get the job done and keep the ball out of the back of the net and the run of play, and they've done a great job.
You wanted to talk a lot about not going to ground throughout the course of this game against Northwestern specifically. Just the team, a 0-0 draw, a shutout in that respect. How did you feel like that back line did in terms of not being over-aggressive defensively and then also keeping a shutout on the board?
Well, we didn't give up a PK, so we'll take that for sure. And that was one of the main things is we just said do not foul in the box because, to be fair, UCLA and Illinois, those 2 games, like had we not given up a PK, like those very well could have resulted in points, and ties. And so that was something like let our keeper make a save. Like let's just be like way smarter about our feet in those moments. And obviously they did a much better job. We ended to get, our first point in conference play.
I do want to talk about the offense just a little bit. I've talked with Chris King actually a little bit about this in terms of how defense can help bolster an offense in terms of the counter-attacking and attacking a defense when it's vulnerable. Just how do you feel like you can generate more advantageous offensive opportunities? And the shot, in terms of sheer number over the last 2 games, has looked really good in terms of the number of shots. How do you turn those number of shots into opportunities into the back of the net?
Yeah, it's just reps in front of goal, and again, like it really comes down to like individual players executing. I think from a tactical standpoint, we're doing the right things, generating those chances. It's really just about that individual doing more with what they have, and so that's what's, like we're always reflecting, we're always looking back at, at our film, and as a staff, we're talking about like, could we have changed this, and like, what should we have done here, substitutes, all those different like tactics, like where was the space, should we have changed formations, like we're always evaluating, we're always looking at opportunities to get better. And it's tough right now because we are doing such a great job defensively and we are creating so many chances that it honestly, it comes down to individual players just making better decisions in front of goal, having a little bit more composure, and the way that we help. A lot of that's just done in the off season and getting reps, but we are in season, and so they, right now our focus is really just getting a ton of reps on goal. So at training, we're doing just a lot of different combo play, finishing exercises, and hopefully, that translates into confidence in front of the goal in the game.
Oregon soccer head coach Tracy Joiner with us, and we're talking about this team throughout conference play. And I've always said that teams that have an identity are the ones that have the most success throughout the course of a season. Do you feel like your team now has developed an identity, and what would that be?
I think that our identity that we feel very confident in is that we are hard to beat. And I think that we're playing very hard, and we walk away from each game, feeling like we did give our best on at least the defensive side of the ball for sure. I know that there's players that are, disappointed with maybe some of their individual performances or some missed opportunities, but I think collectively it's not about them. It's about our team and how we're performing. So, the identity piece of feeling like we are hard to beat and we're not taking plays off, which are 2 of our kind of non-negotiables that we've talked about since day 1 of preseason, have continued to get better and better. So we're just going to hold on to that, and then hopefully, the ball starts bouncing in our favor.
Have to be hard to beat. Definitely have to be hard to beat on the road. This road trip coming up, just scouting report on the 2 opponents. Purdue on Thursday, 4 p.m. Big Ten Plus. Indiana Sunday, 10 a.m. Big Ten Plus. The scouting report that you're going to see this weekend.
I mean, good teams. I don't think that there's not a bad team in this conference, and there's a lot of ties historically. So, we're expecting a big battle. They're coming off each team's got, a couple points on their weekend from this past weekend. So, every single game is just a big matchup, and I think obviously being on the road is a different test, and this is a long road trip for us. We're gone for almost a whole week. And so hopefully we get a couple players back from injury this week, and we'll just continue to, we're scrappy, man. We're just going to scrap it out and do what we can against some really quality opponents.
The Ducks are scrappy. That's Tracy Joiner talking Oregon soccer. 4 o'clock start on Thursday. Timeout, come back, getting you ready for the Coaches Show after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're here in the Country Financial Studio. Tosh Lupoy, Duck Defensive Coordinator, and Jaden Lamar, Duck Running Back, will be here in the Country Financial Studio tonight. We look forward to it. Oregon taking on Penn State on the road. Oregon volleyball. Also Oregon soccer in action. And Oregon freshman golfer Oscar Lent earned a share of a three-way Code Championship yesterday. Congratulations for Oregon men's golf. Year-round sport, men's golf. No doubt about it. Coach's Show tonight. Steve Jones of Penn State joins us tomorrow.
Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely.